Yeah, hi everyone. In this video, I would like to explain how content document and content document link Salesforce object works behind the scene. It's a kind of file system that we use in Salesforce, but I would like to show you how we can use in Flow to be able to fetch the details from a record, from a Salesforce object. For example, I'm currently on the opportunity record, and this opportunity record has some items, some attachments, notes and attachments here. One of them is the attachment, which is the legacy format of a file, but other ones are actually a simple PNG format. So we will be able to use this in a flow. First, let me go to the backend site and let's start with flow. The flow will simply use a screen flow because I'd like to show you in a data table format. So let's simply, let me create a new flow. Here under the frequently used one, I can select one of them, but as I said, I will be able to continue with screen flows. And in screen flows, actually, this is a UI element. Once we create it, it's not running in background. Actually, somehow it's running in the background if we are fetching something from the database, or if we are doing some DML, update, delete, undelete, and anything like that. It's partially doing some behind the scenes stuff, but actually screen flow is created for displaying some components, some kind of format in the system. So let's start with fetching the records. First, we are going to get records. But which records? We are gonna get the content document link. But as I said, I'm going to fetch it from the opportunity record. So let's simply say that get content document link record. Content document is the child object of content document. It's totally separate thing. But content document link, we can say junction object of a Salesforce object and content document. So we let's say, for example, the BMI Calc tab icon, which is a PNG, can have multiple opportunities in Edge Emergency Generator, and also we can put it on United Oil plant. So it actually contains, it has some relationship between multiple records. So then it's normally basically a junction object. We are storing inside a junction object. So let's go back, and here what we are gonna do is, let's put some meaningful description. It's always best practice to put something, fetches all the content document links, link records from the current opportunity. So we are fetching that. The object will be content document link, content document link. Here this has a special field called linked entity. Linked entity stores the ID of the Salesforce S object. S object means in this case opportunity. Then I'd like to get this opportunity, the ID from the URL, this one. And how do I do that? It's actually simple. We have special Salesforce flow record variable called record ID, and we will create that one. First, let me create link entity ID first, this one, and you can simply read the definition or some other details, metadata, but let's select this, equals, and here I'd like to create a variable from resource, but it doesn't allow me to select that one. First, let me create from here new resource. It's gonna be variable and type will be text, but let's say name record ID of the opportunity record, related opportunity record. Data type will be text. If we are selecting, if we are working with ID, we always select data type as text. We are not allowing as multiple values because it's not a collection, it's just a simple ID and no default value. And it's gonna be input, available for input, which means we are taking this value outside of the flow context. That's why I'm selecting available for input, and that's it. So now, once I fetch the record ID of the currently available record here, this one, and I'm putting the value over here. As you see that the simple variables, under the simple variables section, once I create a resource, it's gonna be visible over here. Yes, this is the filter condition, and I'm only fetching the content document link related to this opportunity, related to the opportunity which record ID has taken from the URL here. In this case, Edge emergency generator. So we can fetch, only the first record. No, we are gonna fetch all the records because Edge emergency has multiple content document links. So we are going to select all records. And how to store record data, all fields. That's it. This is another one. And now let's continue with for loop, because this is get record is a collection. We are getting the records inside a list. We can think like that. So we need to cycle through each of the item. So that's why we need a loop element. And let's give some name for our loop element. Cycle through the content document link. Like this. Content document link records. We can also add records at the end. And let's give some description, meaningful description. Fetches all the content document link records from the current opportunity. Okay. The collection variable is where we fetch the content document link records. Then I'm simply applying this over here, this one. And we don't want to order them, but if you want, you can order them, from the last item to the first item, or by default it's first item to last item. It doesn't matter in this case. And this is also done. Now what I'm going to do is to do some assignments. And here, let's add an assignment within the loop, within the context, within the scope of the loop. So let's label it as assign each ID or ID to the list or collection. Let's name it as like this. Assigns or adds each ID to the ID list or collection. So I need a collection, but I have no collection currently. That's why I need to create a new collection. So let's create a new resource. And it's gonna store all the IDs inside a collection. So that's why I need a variable. Let's name it as content document IDs, like this. Stores all the IDs from the content document link records. And data type will be text. And in this case, we need to select this checkbox, allow multiple values, because we are store all the IDs as with the data type text inside a collection. That's why I need to check this. And the availability outside the flow, no, we don't take it from outside of the flow, or we don't want to expose it to outside of the flow context. So that's it. This is just a simple empty collection currently defined here and done. And what I need is to I need to select that collection variable. It's simply here. And I would like to put each item's ID from the current loop. So I need to select add, because I need to populate this. With what? We need to populate it with current item from content document link, but I need to select content document ID. This one. Content document ID, which is the exact file. This one is the exact file we are storing in the system. So this one is actually okay now, and that's it. And after I store all the IDs inside a collection, cycle through the loop statement, I need to go out the loop after the final item loop through, and then what I need is I need to get the content documents. So again, what I need is to actually doing some SQL query. So get records, and here let's name it as get all content document files. In this case, I'm fetching the files, not a junction object, because we have already fetched all the junction object from here. And the description is gets all the content document files, such as PDF, JPEG, PNG, or etc. like this. And the object itself is the content document. As I said, we are storing the exact file inside content document. It's a modern way of storing our files. Content document object, this one. And now the filter criteria is we need to get the files from the Edge emergency generator, and we are getting this with the help of content document IDs. So need to go back over here, and here I need content document ID. This ID needs to be included in what we are fetching, what we are assigning in this collection. So in operator means included, contained inside a collection. So I need to select this collection. Let's see the name of the collection, content document IDs. It's already available here because we have only one resource item. Again, we can get them as a sorted one, ordered ascending order or descending order, it doesn't matter, but I would like to get all the records, not only one. And this is actually done. Now, after I fetch them over here, I need to display them to the user. I need to display it using a screen flow. And let's name it as, this is the screen labeling. We are labeling the screen, not the data table. I'd like to add the data table later. Let's say display files, and put some space, and we can give displays all the content of the current opportunity as data table. We don't add any stage, but we can simply adjust the header, footer, or screen actions. We can simply show help text over here and some descriptive, hint maybe. Or we can add some buttons, next, finish buttons, previous buttons, or we can relabel it. But it doesn't matter in this case. I just would like to display it. Or maybe we can totally hide every button. We can keep everything, removed from the template. And let's add a data table. Data table we can drag and drop over here. And we can put some API name, file or content document data table, let's say. And we can also give some meaningful label, or use label as the table title. We can select this, and as you see that whatever we have here will be displayed on the data table here. Or we can simply say files related to opportunity, like this. We can simply use something like this. And we can enable the search bar to be able to search it in the list. We can adjust the rows. We can select multiple rows or single rows, or just the read-only format. We can keep read-only. And unique identifier. We can select the columns and what type of columns we would like to display on this data table. This is also important. But to be able to select the column names, we need the field labels or field API names. And let me quickly show you how we can do this. First, let me open my Salesforce inspector for querying purposes. And we have already a query like something like this. But I would like to fetch the content documents, but you can select file types. It doesn't matter, but let me remove it first. And let me show you what we have over here. We have some files, not just for Edge emergency generator. It's just all the files that system contains. But we can simply filter them using where clause. But I would like to just take some, title, file type, like this. What else? We have also size, right? Content size. It displays in form of bytes, megabyte, kilobyte, but it's gonna display as just a form of byte. To be able to convert it to kilobyte, we need to divide that by 1024. And also if we would like to display it as megabyte format, then again we need to divide that by 1024 again to be able to display it as a megabyte format. File format also created date. Created date is the standard one. And once we execute this, we can get the file types, content size. As I said before, it displays as a byte format. And the created date is already here. And now we can do something like this, but the title, file type, content size, and created date is the important column names that we need to display over here. So let's put some columns. First of all, it doesn't enable us to select the column names because first I need to feed the source collection here. So we have two. The first one is the most upper one, the content document link. It's not content document link, it's just exactly the content document because these are the files. So let's add the fields. Let's say title. You can also use custom names. Instead of title, you can put, label or anything else, name maybe. It doesn't matter. Just click done. Not this done. This done is just for the screen flow, but we need to click this done. If you click this done, it's not going to save whatever we have done so far. So just click done. And title is available here. Let's add another one. Let's say file size, content size. But the content size like this, it's not user-friendly, right? That's why I need to put a descriptive label like just size is enough and done. Let's put some at column. Another column is, let's file format or file type. Yeah, the file type we can simply say type or format like this, and again we need to click done. And the final one is created date at column. Another column is created date and created date and done. And now it's okay. We are good to go for now. And simply click done. And this is the screen. This is the screen element over here. So we can save our flow, but before we save it, we need to debug it. Before we activate it, we need to first save this, and then we are gonna activate. Let's name it as content document display as data table. This screen flow displays the files related to the currently available opportunity record. Always best practice to keep these descriptions. We always keep them, meaningful message here instead of keeping them blank or, nothing. And simply save this flow and we get something. You can set either allow finish or allow back to false. Let me see. Here. I think it consists. Sorry, let's save it as. Yes, error. Until you resolve the error. Allow back to false or not both. You can set either allow finish. Yeah, exactly. This is my mistake. Yeah. What I need is, I need to, here in the footer part, I need to put the finish. At least the finish needs to be here. Otherwise, system doesn't allow us to do anything else. Once we display the data table, and then whatever we are going to do, if we don't have any button here, nothing. That's why system forces us to put at least one button, at least finish button. So done. Now it's saving. After we save this, currently it's inactive. We don't activate it yet, but it's always have to follow the structure. Like once we save it, we need to debug it instead of directly activating it. So let's debug this, and it's getting us a record ID, but this is just a simulation environment, okay? But once we put this screen flow onto the page layout, it's gonna it's gonna automatically fetch from the URL. Let's say if we put the screen flow over here, it's gonna fetch the ID of the record dynamically from our URL. So we don't need to get this. But in this test debugging scenario, I need to copy this. Again, copy and put it over here. And before we run this debug mode, I would like to also show you, we have how many attachments over here? We have only 2 attachments. Actually, the last one is attachment object, which is totally different than the content document. What we are expecting once we debug the flow, we will get this first and second both PNG files. So let me test it, run. And as you see that we are getting the title of both and size, PNG format, and created date like this. And once we finish it, and our flow finished. So we can activate this. Let's activate this. And let me put the screen flow onto the layout. Now it's active. So I would like to add it to the layout. Let's add it. So first, I need to open the flow. And content document display as data table. This is the name of the flow. So let's put flow. I will put it over here. Or we can simply add to the utility bar over here, the most bottom part. And once I add it over here, I need to get the flow first. Let me delete. Content document display as data table is the screen flow that we have currently activated. Yes. Now let's save this and activate this. This is, I think, where is it? Yeah, sales app. Yeah, saves changed. Now let me refresh the page. Yes, you see that we have 2 content documents related to our Edge emergency generator opportunity record. So let's say I would like to delete this PNG. Let's delete this one. And currently nothing happens because actually behind the scene it deletes from the data table, but it's not reflected on the UI. So let me refresh it. And as you see that once it's refreshed, it's only displaying it's only displaying other PNG. So let's upload a file. From here, maybe I can add, no, under downloads, I think. Let me add this image. Yes, once I upload this to-do list BG image, let's refresh this. And this is also available in the data table because it stores behind the scene as content document, and it's linked to the Edge emergency generator via content document link. The content document link is the junction object. So let me actually briefly explain how the system works as a file, as a Salesforce's file system. Let's say this is the Salesforce object. This is the files. It can be PDF, docx, PNG, JPEG, anything like that. And we need to bind them with a supportive junction object here, like this one and this one. And again, this is S object, in this case opportunity, but it can be account, it can be case, lead, anything like that, or even custom objects, And another one is the file itself, but we are storing the files as content document. And what we need is, we need to combine these both via a junction object called content document link. Content document link. This is the junction object. And this Edge emergency generator, this is only one simple opportunity record, has multiple content document links. And one content document can have multiple objects because we can store this to-do list BG image, this JPEG file in, Apex, for example, account or maybe lead. So that's why many-to-many relationship can be implemented here. We have many-to-many relationship here. This is how the system works, and this is how our flow example works.